And good morning, everyone. This is Mr. Kasarian, and we are back in Kerbal Space Program. Alright, what are we doing today? Well, right now, we're working on a probe that's going to go up to the Mun. Well, it's going to be Mun and Minmus, either one. So, I'm looking for something that's a little important. There we go, the thrust plate multi-adapter. There we go. You want to attach there? Awesome. So this is going to let me fit... Yeah, okay. I want to apologize for how distorted this looks, but I'm experimenting with stuff with my computer. So I want to mount... Let's see, that's 355. And that's 400. Now, if I mount 4 of these... Alright. That does not get me even close. There we go. 370. So what if I mount Wildcat 5s instead? There we go. Oh gosh, I need to fix that. Jeez. Yeah, they're clipping into each other just a little bit there, but none of the mechanics are. It's just the base of the rocket itself. Yeah, you can really tell when I'm up above. Ooh, that looks disgusting. Sorry, I'm experimenting with playing full screen for once. Okay, so... Let's see here. Let's see, that should be good. Should be plenty of delta V to get up there, right? Alright, let's check our staging. That all goes up to here, and that. Alright, and then there's that there. Yeah, and then this stuff's buried in there. So let's do this. Okay. And I'm experimenting with some things, which is why the fairings aren't appearing right now, but those will be back in a little bit. So. Oh, those are a specific place to attach to. Okay. So that should be fine. Our fins are in place. Let's throw a launch clamp on to keep this thing stable. And there we go. Oh, and now I've screwed that up. Alright. This thing is a pain in the rear end to place, by the way. Because whatever I do, it never wants to place correctly. There we go. That's in place. And then that's in place. So we're looking at about a 2-stage rocket here, right? Yeah, 2-stage rocket. Looks good to me. Now, that should be that, right? Oh, no, I can't do that. Alright, well, I'll have to hope SAS can figure itself out on the way up. Speaking of SAS, no. Okay, I don't think I have the big ones yet, do I? No. What if I... One of those. Alright, so that should do it. We're looking at a 4 cluster of Wildcat 5s. Ooh, I can also upscale these, can't I? Yes, I can. I have a 4 cluster Wildcat 5s, followed by a Vesta VR1 upper, which is kind of a low TWR there, but I'm thinking that by the time I'm popping that thing out, I should be almost in orbit, actually. Oh, and do I have a mech jeb on it? Yes, I do. Of course I do. Okay, so let's save that as the Lunar Return 1, and let's take her out to the pad. And I've temporarily disabled the launch construction timer, because honestly, it was driving me nuts and making it a little bit difficult to record. So I think that that's probably going to stay out for the nearby future. There we go, we're loading back in. I completely forgot to start my timer. Now let's hope this thing doesn't decide to go wibbledy on me. A little bit. Stand by for launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. Let's do that again, shall we? Note to self, remember to throttle up. Interesting blue lights on my screen. There we go. Alright, let's try that again. Throttle up. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, launch. That's kind of wobbly. That's kind of a lot wobbly, actually. That's very wobbly. Okay. Let me come back in a few minutes once I've restarted this with some of the parts added back in. I've been trying to clean out some parts in KW and B9, and I think I removed some of the wrong ones. So let me come back. And we're back. Alright. So, we are back in our launch trajectory. We are happily checking out our rocket information. Stack sticky controls. What is this telling me? Oh, I can do a temperature scan here. Nice. We will not do that. Instead, we're going to check our surface info. No. Check our vessel info. There we go. And I now have everything actually looking like a circle, which is nice. Surface TWR, that looks good. We'll start our turn at the stock 5, at our standard 5 kilometers. Some physics. Oh, I know we're having physics slowdowns. Okay. Whoa, gosh. Right. Okay. I know what's happening. I know why it's wibbling like that. We have too much SAS up at the top. Drop our speed just a little bit here. Bring it back up as we start our ascent. I have the suspicion that I drastically overbuilt this rocket for what I needed for. It looks like we're going to make it to orbit perfectly fine. Yeah, we can already go up to like a 10-kilometer coast here. Actually, I don't think we even needed that entire second stage. Get that out to where I can actually see it. This is a pretty good booster. We're going to kill our boosters there. Let's shift that down. Electric charge is fine. One minute 30 some odd seconds. We are about to exit the atmosphere in another... There we go. We are out of atmosphere. Alright, so let's spin her up. Perfect. And that's our probe up on the top. We have a 93-kilometer apoapse. Periapse is a little low. I didn't turn sharply enough. This much coast is actually kind of a bad thing. We don't really want this much of a coast in our burns, but I'm not great at launching. And alright, so let's start up the engine again to do our circularization burn. Watch that timed apoapse number there. I actually don't care if we end up in a pretty high orbital. It doesn't make that much of a difference to me. We just want to keep it around that 30-second mark. Some people cut it a little closer at a 15-second apoapse, but I prefer to keep it just a little bit lower than that. And that's good enough. Alright. Oh, eccentricity inclination's only 0.710 degrees. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. And we have another VR1 up there. So, let's take a look at what we're going to do now. We are going to begin our Munar transfer orbit. We'll expand that out. And honestly, this is me kind of proving to you guys that I can do this manually, because people yell at me for mech jebbing this a little too much. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go like... Nope. That. Perfect. So, alright, let me jump back out here for a minute, because I want to show you guys this. Alright. So, by putting myself in front of the moon, I'm actually basically doing a gravity assist. So see how my orbit comes out in front of the moon? Then weird things happen because of my conic settings. So let me shift this to show you a better view. Maneuver planner? No. Node editor. Alright, there we go. Conics mode. 1, 2, 4. No idea what 4 does. Let's go to 1. Okay, so this is a better way of explaining it. So you can see I come out to the moon, right? And then I enter the moon's, my apoapse, but then I come around the moon. And I enter the moon's SOI. 3 is probably a better way of doing it. There we go. So I come out to here, I enter the moon's orbit, right? Okay, now this map mode is just confusing the daylights out of me. Alright, so the green one... What are you doing? Okay, the green one's my return orbit. Okay. So I come out, right? And then I enter the moon's orbit here, by Munar encounter. And what I'm doing is, I'm basically wrapping around the moon so that once I hit it, right? Moon periapse is here, and then I exit. The moon's gravity, as it comes around this way, is actually slowing me down, because I'm kind of coming in front of it-ish, alright? Let me see if I can tweak this just to show this to you guys just a little bit better. You know what? It's fine where it is. It is absolutely fine where it is. So what I've done is called a free return trajectory, because if I just coast, I'll enter, come back, and I'll actually be in Kerbin's atmosphere for a slowdown for re-entry. So I won't have to burn any additional delta V on my re-entry. So why don't I... Excuse me, computer. Do I not have an SAS unit on this thing? Apparently I don't. Interesting. So that's going to make maneuvering a little bit difficult. It's probably a good thing I'm only doing one maneuver. And, oh, because I don't have an SAS unit. Okay. So let me actually use MechJeb here to do that. I can get rid of this. I can get rid of this. I can bring this over to here. I can put that somewhere where it's not going to get me in trouble. Yeah, stage destroyed, stage destroyed. I don't need to know that. Let me get Kerbal alarm clock up here where it's not going to cause me any more trouble. Add my alarm for my maneuver node. It's a 1 minute burn. 1 minute 32 second burn. So I want to be about a minute out when I burn. Alright. So I'll add that alarm in. And let's do the time warp. Do the time warp again. Sorry. Alright, so we are in position. We can look at our vessel viewer. Cool! Center of mass, center of thrust, center of mass, all sorts of fun information. And I apologize for the slowdown. I realize I'm encoding as I'm recording this, which is why my computer's, like, derping out on me. Because, to be quite honest, it's being stressed fairly to the limit, just doing its encoding, never mind the actual running of Kerbal Space Program. I could explain why KSP seems to be so much more intensive on processors than it should be. The simple reason is that KSP is not multi-threaded. So we've kind of hit a wall on how fast we can make our processors. And what we've been doing to kind of like deal with the issue, basically, is we've been, in essence, cheating a little bit. Alright, so that's there. We should be relatively on course. So what we've been doing is we've basically been cheating. We've been saying, okay, well, good place to burn, Zenny. And we've been just stacking more processors into the systems. So when they say it's, you know, a 4-core, quad-core, dual-core, 8-core, like my core processor's an 8-core, what they're really saying is it's actually 8 or 4 different processors on the same chip. So what your computer does, and what most games do, is it'll balance between those. It'll assign different threads to different places. Kerbal Space Program is not multi-threaded, which means that it only runs on one core, which means that it's only taking advantage of a very, very small amount of your processor's total computing power. There are efforts and rumors to allow it to be more compatible. Certain things, like a lot of MechJeb stuff, could probably be done on a different core. Physics calculations, some of the physics calcs could probably be done on a different core. A similar issue is the issue of NVIDIA PhysX, which is both a hardware solution and a graphics solution, and an engine issue. Physics is used by a lot of AAA games. It's also used by Unity, but Unity is using an old version. What you can do with the newer versions of physics is you can actually install an older or a newer, if you have the money for it, NVIDIA card, and use that card as a dedicated physics handler for certain types of physics, which is pretty sweet. I mean, it's a really kind of cool solution to the problem. Within 0.1 meters per second? I think that's good enough for government work. Kind of a steep return trajectory, but it gets us a moon periapse that's pretty decent. Alright, so what we'll do is when we actually enter lunar orbit, we will change that up a bit. This is, by the way, where the maneuver planner comes in handy. And not the planner, I want the maneuver node editor. And I want conics mode, there we go, conics mode 1. It's just a little bit easier for me to see what's going on. So here you can go. You can see we're coming in and we're actually coming around the moon backwards to its orbit. So I can do some things here. Like I can add a maneuver node here. No. How about adding a maneuver node there? Alright, let's... Oh, it's not wanting to let me add it. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Okay, so we'll have to do this once we actually get into the SOI. So let's add an alarm. I want to change some things here. Globally on, please. Kill warp at SOI change. Alright, add alarm. And let's get some time warp going on here. So, basically, unfortunately KSP doesn't support full physics, the new versions where you can actually use a separate card. All it supports right now is your standard... Here we go. There we go. Alright, we are now in lunar orbit. Okay. So before... Ay, Chihuahua. Okay. Alright, so let's get Smart ASS out of the way and MechJib out of the way. Orbit. Orbit. Launch unmanned probe. Does this thing have a flipping antenna on it? Oh, crap. Alright, well, we'll have to send up another mission here, but... Satellite and equatorial, specific orbit. Oh, okay. Alright, so... Let's, Mystery goo, temperature, solar particle, material study. Okay. So, this is going to be a high orbiter. Let's see what we can do. We can do the magnetometer. So, we'll extend the magnetometer. And this is 100% transmission. So, we'll transmit the data. Oh, we do have a transmitter. Okay, good. 15 science. Alright, so let's do a solar particle analysis. And let's keep that data. And then we need to do... another solar particle low. Okay. So we're going to have to go into a low lunar orbit. It's not too bad. Alright, so let's add a maneuver. And then let's do a couple things. Let's decrease our speed. Okay. We want to shift. How am I going to do this? Because I need to match that polar orbit. Alright, well, we'll cross that bridge, I think. Yeah, because it's going to be more efficient anyways to do this from a low orbital position. So let's do the first thing first. Let's get into a low orbit. Let's say a 50-kilometer orbit. Alright. And then let's decrease our speed a little bit. Alright, let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. Alright, scrub this again. You know what? Forget it. Add maneuver. Let's brake. Let's do that first. You know what? Yeah, let's just do this at our periaps. That's going to make life a little bit easier for everyone involved here. $193. All right, so let's go. All right, you know what? We're going to use the maneuver planner, just so you guys don't have to sit me through doing this. Watch through doing this. Okay, maneuver planner, MechJeb, to the rescue. We want to change our APO. We want our APO apps at 193289. At the next periaps. What? Okay, you know what? Let's do this. Because I have the sneaking suspicion the computer doesn't think I'm actually in that orbit yet. Alright. I don't think you're right about that, computer. I really don't think you're right. Oh, okay. That's what it's doing. 193.289. Oh, gosh. New Apple apps cannot be... Right, because it needs to be... to change the periaps. Derp-de-der. Okay, that looks a lot better. So let's hit abort node let's hit node execution. Let's also get this thing pulled back in, shall we? And we can pull these back in. And my ship is valiantly going to shift around to try and cover that approach. That is fine. We will have to send another probe up here, however. Which is also fine. Because we're going to have to get mystery goo, temperature from low, solar particle from low. So let's do that mystery goo. Keep that data. And eventually we're going to get position on our node. But that may take a few minutes, so why don't I bring you guys back in once we are actually shifting things into position.